Hello everyone and welcome back. We're in the studio today and it's time to do a portrait. We've got family around visiting and this is Charlie.
Hello everyone.
I like to call him Charles. And he's a very nice lad. He's my daughter's boyfriend, so he's up to visit from London. And I thought it would be a nice opportunity to do a little family portrait. I haven't done one for quite a long time now and there's always a little bit of pressure. I feel slightly pressurized by it because it's been 4 months, 5 months since I did a portrait, and portraiture is one of the most intense experiences in painting. It's so precise. If you have an eye that's a couple of millimeters wrong, the whole thing looks completely crazy. So your sense of precision has to really be strong, and your drawing has to be good as well. So we'll give it a go and see what happens. You ready for this, Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, it is my mum's Christmas present, so...
Oh, well, there we go.
No pressure at all.
And that makes it even worse, doesn't it? So the first part of the painting that we're going to do is the drawing, and it's the drawing that's the most crucial part of getting this likeness sorted. So what I like to do, if you watch some of my other portraits, I always mark the top and the bottom of the head, so on the bit of paper. So the top's going to be here, say, and the bottom of the head, the chin, is going to be here. So that's my scale all worked out. So everything now is in relation to this scale. And that's a really important thing to remember. The scale is crucial. If you don't want to paint an eye too big or too small, so this is our scale now. Right, let's just start very roughly. So we're just trying to get the basic shapes blocked in. Charlie has a very square jaw.
Thank you.
Yeah, like Action Man. I used to have an Action Man like that, Charlie. You just need the scar on the side of your cheek. Okay, so I'm going to work down the head, and I'm going to look at how the line of the eyes, and Charlie's eyes are slightly above the centre of the face. So let's call them there. That's his eye line there. And that's an important one to get. But standard is, a lot of people have eyes are bang in the middle, but that's part of what you've got to work out, whether it's bang in the middle of the head or slightly up. Right, so we call that there. And then we're going to have a line down here. So you've got to really make sure that this part of the portrait is right. I try not to work in one place. If I work in one place, let's say I try and get the eye right, then I do this nice drawing of the eye, not in relation to anything else. So that's going to make my life much more difficult. So I try to work everywhere. The style of this portrait is slightly different from I think it's slightly different from a landscape painter. It's a little bit more precise, just because of the nature of what I'm doing. And the distance between the eyes is normally about an eye's distance. So this distance is normally about the same distance as an eye. So this distance here between the end of the nose and the eyes, that is the crucial part for me. If I can get that right, I'm okay. If I get that wrong, then I start to struggle a bit. Quick hello to Michelle, Charlie's mum.
Yeah, she'll be watching this back.
She'll be watching this.
Yeah.
This will be Christmas or post-Christmas viewing, hopefully, if we do it well. It's an interesting experience having your portrait painted. Not many people have it done these days. A lot of people have it done via cameras.
I mean, I'm normally quite fidgety, so this is a...
He's all right. I've told him to be still.
Yeah. I don't know, has the camera captured the straight jacket or not that you put me in?
Not the handcuffs.
No.
The shackles. Charlie's tummy is rumbling at the moment because we haven't given him any breakfast yet. Okay, so I can see now that the mouth is set a little bit too low. So let's raise it up a bit. And those are the things you've got to notice for portraiture, whether these angles are right. Painting from life is such an interesting thing to do. I think you see more detail in the face. You see true colour. The colours that you're seeing through the camera are wrong and will always be wrong, and also the values are wrong as well. So when you see in real life, the colours are accurate, assuming you're not colourblind. Yeah, coming together. It's beginning to look like Charlie, I think. So what's interesting about portraiture is everything is a relationship to everything else, and the ear is an interesting thing to do because I look at it now and the ears, the bottom of the ears are slightly above the bottom of the nose, and it's those sort of measurements that you're really looking for. They give you the hints in how the drawing is going. Charlie's a very fashionable young man. He takes pride in his appearance and his clothing. His Burberry t-shirt. Burberry t-shirt?
It is Burberry.
It is Burberry.
It's Burberry from a charity shop.
Is it?
I
always got to try and keep up with Charlie in terms of fashion. It was quite difficult, really. Okay, so that's the drawing done. Right, here's the next stage, really, which is the exciting part. And we've got my palette out. I've damaged my palette somehow. I must have dropped it or something. There's a big crack here and a bit of missing paint here and here, so I'm going to have to get that sorted out. The first thing I do is a basic wash of colour over everything, and I love cerulean blue. That colour here is really interesting. I tend to use all the portraits start off that way, and especially in the forehead, the cerulean blue going off, and I paint it in the hair too. I'll mix up a few skin colours as well. So yellow ochre there, and a little bit of cadmium red light. It's a great colour. So first of all, the cerulean blue, and I start up there. So in the forehead, up here, a little bit darker. Just a nice hint of that. I love that colour. Something about it which is nice for portraiture. Maybe a little bit into the shadow region too. Give the brush a wash, and I'm into the more traditional skin colours. So you see I'm mixing these yellow ochre and cadmium red, popping them in. Quite an interesting way of starting, really. I love colour. I think colour is a really interesting challenge. It's always an interpretation. I never expect to get the colour completely perfect, but to me that's not the most important part of getting a likeness in the portrait. I think the most important part is the values. There you go. Yeah, so that's the first little wash done. Yeah, it's quite pretty. I like that. So I haven't let that dry yet, and I'm going to sort of have a little look, maybe go into some of the more obvious values of the face. And the most obvious one is the side of the nose. I like starting at the side of the nose. That's an interesting thing. It's one of the darkest points in the portrait. So quite reddish. So I spread myself over the palette, and as you know, if you've watched some other videos, I try not to mix up the colours too much, because when you mix a colour too much, you only have one colour choice. Whereas when they're not mixed, there's a shade, and there's a shade, and there's a shade, lots of different shades, and I think that's really useful for portraiture, which is very precise. Right, Charlie. So I might just pop a few bits in, but it's not very dry at the moment, so normally I like a more dry surface. But we're indoors, so we've got hair dryers, we've got electricity, which is quite nice. Again, it's an overall appearance that I'm looking for, an overall everywhere attitude that I've got to portrait painting. I'm not interested in trying to get one part right. I want to build the painting up together. Alizarin crimson is a great colour as well. That's a very useful colour for portraits. I don't have too big a range of colours, you can see that. What was it, 12 I think? Quite a few of them I don't use at all. Change to a slightly bigger brush. I'm going to pop some of the hair in a bit now. And keep it slightly bluish on the shadow side. As you know, I love shadows to appear a little bit cooler because they are the shadow, a little bit bluer. Now I don't really see that in the actual painting, in what I'm looking at. That's part of my imagination. Got blue hair, Charlie, at the moment. Like the blue rinse. You won't end up with blue hair. Maybe.
Well, it depends if we're go through any phases.
You're too young to be grey yet, so... Right.
Not too young to be going bald, though, apparently.
That happens to the best of us.
I know.
There's only one thing to do about going bald, and that's to laugh about it.
Yeah.
Right, I'm just going to let that dry now for a bit. Right, so I've just dried it off a bit with a hairdryer, and I'm going to go straight in now and take courage. Portraiture is about courage, portraiture from life particularly. When you take a photograph, it does it makes it less stressful, and the subject isn't moving, and you can be very precise with it. And some people actually project things as well, project the image, which does simplify it, but it projects it in the way the camera sees it, which isn't the way I see it. Right, so we're going to get the main shadows of the nose in correctly. I'm just trying to work out the colours. There's quite a blue tone to it, so a little bit of cobalt blue maybe. Try and keep the colours unusual as well. Right, okay, this is an important mark. Maybe that's a bit dark. Colours do change when they dry. And you can change the colour, you can soften things down with a bit of water, which is very useful, which is what I did there. Just clean the brush, softened it down. Going down the side of the nose now. Trying to be as precise as I can. Change the colour. A little bit of bluish there. Now coming under the nose. Really look at things. Observation is one of the most important things, or probably the most important thing in portraiture.
Definitely useful.
Trying to soften that line a bit. It's a bit too hard. There are so many different planes of light. Softening edges. And I think you still got to be courageous though, that's the interesting part of it. You can't be too careful, otherwise that goes wrong too. Trying to pick out these values. There's got a nice little value going down the side of his nose there. One of the other interesting parts of painting portraits, or anything really, is you can sometimes think that the painting, it's not going very well and things like that, and it sort of puts you off a bit. And my advice with that is to keep on going. Keep on going. Because if you give up, you're definitely going to get it wrong. It's almost like a web of values that I'm looking for at the moment. Quite fond of using the fingers when I make a mistake and just dab a bit off. Don't want to make it too cold. Trying to mix it in. You get the very important value on the side of the head. This one's pretty crucial. Change its colour. I love change of colours in paintings. I like it to be different all the time. Now we've got a very hard edge. If you see that hard edge on the side there, now that's what we've got to get rid of now. We don't want that hard edge. Clean the brush. Yellow in there maybe. That's too much. It's always just that little bit of experimentation that we've got to get right. And then on up here, a little bit softer. I don't want it too soft. That's not what I'm looking for either. Change the colour. It's playing sort of cat and mouse with the painting as well, because there's so many things happening, and if I'm not careful, it'll go wrong so easily with watercolour, which is part of the challenge really. If I was painting in oil, I wouldn't be quite as intense. If you make a mistake in watercolour, you know that's pretty much it. Now let's get the eyes going now. So it's a greeny bluey colour, I would say. So a little bit of cerulean blue, a few blues lying around, cobalt blue as well. The eyes are so important in a painting. Yeah, when you're painting from life and not a photograph, you have set yourself up more problems, and it's probably harder to do, but there's something more satisfying about it, I think, rather than relying on a projected image. So you're going to get the dark centres done. Okay, leave that for a bit. Now we're going to go to the rest of the eye. So we're going to do more around the eye. When I have a chat with people who sit for a portrait, so I say I'm going to paint the eye now, and they can relax the rest of the face. There's always going to be errors in a painting as well. There's always going to be something slightly off, but that's quite interesting in itself. As long as they look vaguely like the person, I think that's good enough. As long as it's not too bad, but so I'm just trying to get the other side of the face done a bit. The eyes and this area here is one of the most important parts of a portrait. It really does give the likeness. So I'm going to a bit of raw umber now, just to paint in the eyebrows a bit. You can see the difference between my landscape painting and this is that it's so much more precise. This is a nice mark coming up. This one here is quite important. That one. Soften that a bit. So many changes of colour. And I like the painting to look a little bit colourful. I love different shades to come through, different blues. Quite like that. Okay, I'm going to make a very firm mark now. So quite dark. So a little bit of alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, burnt umber. Those are the dark colours in a portrait. I'm going to get the nostril in. Well done, Charlie, you're doing really well. You're a very good sitter.
You're a very good painter.
Try. Right, just going to put that mark in for the bottom of the nose. This is the tricky part. This is the part that has to be right. I've got to get this mark right. This one. I think that's okay. Right, we'll head down now into the mouth. So it's very much a blue toned red, so alizarin crimson is really good for that. So we're going to the moustache a bit. So I'm using a little bit of raw umber for the brown here. Soften it a bit. It's all about softening edges and firming up edges. You don't see many watercolour paintings, and it's a shame really. I think they are really very interesting. Right, so now it's the side of the face. A little bit darker, just to give that a little bit more punch to it. Trying to keep it colourful still. Yeah, that's coming on. There was a moment there where I thought it was sort of losing it, so I'm okay now. That was a bit of a pressure moment for me. This part here is tricky. If anywhere that's going slightly wrong, it's going to be this area here. But you can't change it in watercolour, so you're left with it. Right, now for the beard again. I think raw umber is a really good colour for that. Like a lot of English people or British people, there's a little bit of ginger in there, isn't there? A little bit of ginger. Yeah. So raw umber is really good for that.
My nan was ginger. I think it just missed me.
Yeah. Close call. Mm. And this is going to be the very firm base of the chin. Maybe it'd be a good idea over the Christmas festivities for you to find a willing volunteer to sit for you. Some family member who doesn't mind. Just softening. I don't want to make every dot and comma on this painting, so it's an abbreviated sort of form of watercolour. I think that's made him look a little bit more like Charlie. Soften that. Ooh, we're getting there, Charlie, we're getting there. The brushes I've used are pretty small really, nothing particularly big. I've got the basic rule, big brush, big area, little brush, little area, so that sort of tells you the sizes of the brushes that you need. So you're getting the more subtle colours in the forehead. My dad always taught me to use the word forehead, and I always do. Some people use the word forehead, but to me it's a forehead. So we're going to do an ear now. So we do the right first. So what I do is I draw, I work out the eye and do lines in my mind across to see what's happening, where it ends, and just drawing imaginary lines across. So I would say that's about there. I don't paint it in a complicated way, I just try and keep it simple. Not much at all, so only part, a fraction of the detail is placed in the ears. Soften, that's too dark. I think that's all it needs. Right, now the hair. So again, not trying to mix the colours up too much. So too much there. That's great. One of the wonderful things about having a portrait painted from life is that when you see the painting in the years to come, it gives a wonderful memory of the actual making of the painting. Very different from just sitting for photographs. It's much more thought-provoking. Every stroke counts. As I make a slight error. Like the hair's an interesting problem, and I don't really want to make it too complicated. Just a few hints here and there. Maybe a little bit of blue in the hair again. I quite like that. Again, a lot of watercolour painting for me is the art of simplification. To simplify what you're doing as much as you can. There is complication in it, of course, but I like to simplify as much as possible. More to the eyebrows. It's the odd dark mark I find it's really finishes a painting off. The really decisive darkness in some places. That helps things. There are so many changes in value around the eyes. Really interesting. Just very subtle altering of colours. Trying to remove that hard line there, I didn't like that. So just soften that hard line. There we go. He's definitely hungry. I don't know whether.
As soon as we're done.
I don't know whether the microphone's picking that up or not. Charlie's tummy rumbling. Clothing now. I really don't want to put too much detail into clothing. Then we'll have to put something into the Burberry check. You're making me paint more detail, Charlie.
Am I? I mean, you can leave out the check.
A little bit of check, I'll give you.
Make or break of the paint. Is it?
No. Okay, just a little bit of finish off the eyes. Just the pupil. Just going to put more of the details in the shirt. So some of the darker values at the back and here, here. Not too much, I don't want to overplay that. One or two checks. Just going to give him a little bit of a check from the Mulberry check. Burberry, sorry, not Mulberry. Sorry about that. We've got to get the fashion houses right. Got a bit of red in there too, isn't it? So a few more white bits. I like white. If you check out my videos before, you see I'm a fan of white, and many watercolorists aren't. But I like it. I think it's a good thing. Adds a bit of sparkle from time to time. And the most crucial part of white are the little catch eyes in the eyes. So hopefully you'll see a big difference when I put this in. Okay, so one there, and one there, a tiny one there as well. That just makes it come out and sparkle a bit. And then some on the nose. It's just tidying things up, Charlie, at the moment. So it's just going around one or two of the parts just to get an overall view of it, but it's largely done. You'll be happy to hear.
No, thank you.
It's the longest.
Thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah, you've been still a long time now, Charlie. I can see you're beginning to lose it. So there's the portrait pretty much done now, and yeah, I like it a lot. It's fun, it's lively, and that's my most important part really. So the last bit I like to do is to add a few pencil marks, and I love the pencil marks in the end of portraiture and painting in general really. And I think it's really good to give a sense of hair. I think that's wonderful for that, and just give a general shape of things. See, I think it does help it. I like that sort of thing. Perhaps sharpens things up a bit. I love that bit. That really helped it. Yeah, a few eyes there. Okay, and the final bit, you give that a friend. You never quite know, you just have a little experiment really. And the final bit, after I just sharpen my pencil a little bit, is to sign it. Okay, I'm just going to go, so I sign it here. James Potter, 2024, isn't it?
It is indeed.
2024. There we go, all done. Right, so that's the portrait done, Charlie. And now's the time to have a look at it. Come around, or
the big reveal, yeah.
Or I'll come around here and have a look at it.
That is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you. If you didn't have viewers, I normally swear when I say that, but I can't.
You can't swear.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
That is
Good.
fantastic.
I'm glad you liked it.
Thank you.
Looks like you, I think. I think there's a definite look of you, but it's not you as well. There's it's all sorts. I think when you paint from life, you get a different look.
Yeah.
From complete reality.
No,
But
it's fantastic.
that's what partly
Absolutely
makes it fun.
fantastic.
And you'll never forget it.
No, definitely not. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's fun. All that leaves me to say now is thanks very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed that portrait demonstration. It's a lot of fun and very rewarding process. Tanya and I will be continuing our ventures next year in Scotland and this winter too in the frozen north, and hopefully with a fitted or fixed heater. That's going to be really great. And until next time, thanks for watching. Bye bye.